Okay, chapter 12:6 is on page 296. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through posting your totals from all of your journals to your ledger, to your general ledger accounts. Again, these are the totals of each of your journals. So we're going to start with the sales journal. Again, this is one of the 5 journals that you've learned about in this chapter. The sales journal has 3 columns. It has the accounts receivable debit, it has sales credit, and it has sales tax payable credit. Again, at the end of each month, we're going to total these in each of your journals. So we're going to put the 30th, we're going to put the word totals, we're going to single rule this line, and we're going to double rule after our totals. So first step is to write the date from the sales journal. We're going to do this in 3 accounts because, again, accounts receivable, sales, and sales tax payable, all right here. And it tells you where it should be recorded. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write the date in these 3 general ledger accounts. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to put the page number. So this is coming from S11 or Sales Journal 11. We're going to put that in the post-ref box for the totals of each of these ledger accounts. Number 3, we're going to put the column total. So for this column, accounts receivable, we have $11,066.40. We're going to record that, accounts receivable debit, in the totals entry into the ledger. We're going to add this to the total. Again, accounts receivable is an asset, so it always carries a normal debit balance. Sales credit total is $10,440. We're going to transfer this sales credit down to the credit box in our ledger, and we're going to add this to the total as well. This sales carries a normal credit balance. So we're going to add this to the total. It's never going to be a negative balance in your sales. We can't, unless we had a bunch of returns. However, we would have had those initial sales. So it would always be anything 0. You'd never have a negative amount in sales. Finally, sales tax payable credit. We're going to take the amount of $626.40. We're going to post that in the ledger, sales tax payable ledger, $626.40. We're going to add this to the total. Notice there's a 0 balance here, so this is going to be the total as well in the normal credit balance of the sales tax payable. Notice the account number is a 2140, which means it's a liability. 4,000 is sales. Anything that starts with a 1 is an asset. Finally, step 4, again, count balance. Step 5, we're going to write the account number underneath to prove that we've posted these totals to our ledger accounts. So we're taking this number here, the ledger account number, we're putting it in parentheses underneath each of these. And that's the final step in posting to those journals. And this is an important step because, again, this proves that you posted it to the ledger. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it from our 12.5. From the lecture that you did in 12.5, you created these 3 accounts here in the general ledger. You have supplies office, supplies store, accounts payable. Notice the account number. We've done some formatting. So what I'd like for you to do now, since you have a 4th one on here, take this cell, and this is A41, and we're going to highlight from left to right, top to bottom, down to J51. So that's too far. This is too far. So you want that. We're going to hit right click, copy, or you can hit Control C. Notice they skip 2 lines, so let's go ahead and skip 2 lines. Let's put our mouse or select cell A54 and hit Control V as in Victor, or you can right click as well and just hit this button to paste. And you've pasted this one. So now we have an extra ledger account. If you double click in one of the cells outside of this, it'll deselect what you copied. We want 4 more of these. So again, we're going to have to select A41 through J51. Right click, copy. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Control V. Actually, Control C copies, Control V pastes. I'm going to do it again, skipping 2 lines. I'm going to do it again. that should be enough. If at a later time we need to add more, we can copy and paste more onto this document. So this is going to serve as our general ledger. And let's go ahead down here at the bottom. You can add more worksheets to your document in Excel, but we want to be on this worksheet, and we're going to right-click this worksheet, rename, and we're going to put 12-6 General Ledger. Hit enter, and now this worksheet within this whole file or workbook is called General Ledger, and we can format this different colors if we wanted, in case we have, we might do this by date, November, December, January, February, and so on, and have a file with all of our ledger accounts in there. So let's go to the assignment for today. We're going to take the totals from our sales journal, these three accounts here, accounts receivable, sales, and sales tax payable, and we're going to put them to the general ledger. So we need an accounts receivable account. The account number on the accounts receivable is 1130. We're going to put the year in the little box, the date, on the first we have a balance of, again we're going to fill this with black so that we know that we don't have to post this to the ledger. And we had a balance of a debit balance, because this is an asset, of 2370 3.34. Again, we're going to select all of our cells here and format it to accounting up here at the top. Alright, so from our sales journal on the 30th, again we're going to write the journal number, the page number, which is S11. Again, this is going in the accounts receivable account, so we're going to put S11. We have a debit balance of $8,299.80, so we're going to record that in the debit column. Tab here. Now again, we can formulate this, so if we hit equals this plus this and hit enter, it'll total it for us. Anytime you notice that these are in pound signs, you come up here to the top, that means that the cell isn't big enough. So we're going to make the cell or the column a little bit bigger so that it fits in there. One thing we can do is, I know we bolded this, and let's do this. Let's select this cell, come up to Format Painter, choose that, and then we can format that cell exactly like this cell. It makes it a little bit easier and makes it a little bit faster. Okay, so the second amount that we're going to post to the sales credit is $7,830. So we come over to the sales account, which we still haven't created yet. So let's go ahead and put sales. The account number for sales is going to be 4110. Again, let's go ahead and format these cells. Again, let's go ahead and put the date or the year, November. We had a balance in sales on the 1st from the previous month. Again, we're going to highlight this in black or put a check mark there. Sales carries a normal credit balance of $200,058. $6.15 and 0 cents. Again, we're going to format these cells. Select all these. The $sign. Again, you notice that the pound signs come up, so we need to adjust the size of our column a little bit. There we go. So on the 30th, from Sales Journal, page 11, we had a credit of $78.30. So our sales for the month, what we sold to customers, was $7,830. That doesn't sound like a whole lot. Go ahead and hit tab, and again, let's go ahead and put a formula equals this plus this. We had to enter, and it adds it up for us automatically. Again, if we select this cell and run it down, we'll run the formula down here, and you'll see that change here in the next section. I'm going to do the same thing for this. Again, this carries our total here. Looks like I messed up, so let's hit undo. What I should have done is just carried this formula down. There we go. The last column that we're going to post from the sales journal, right here, is the sales tax payable credit. $469.80. We are going to have to create another account. There's going to be 5 new ones in total. Account number is 2140. Let's go ahead and again format these cells. The computer's running a little slow here. Let's copy the format from this one too. Let's put the year 2014, the date. This will get a little bit faster now that we have these accounts already set up. Sales tax payable on the 1st had a balance. Black this out. Had a credit balance of 0. So we're going to just create this account. On the 30th, from again sales tax payable column, or sales journal, page 11, carries a credit total $469.80. Let's go ahead and select all these cells here and format it. I did skip a step. On the 15th, there should have been an entry for a payment. I'm going to skip the 15th. So normally, really, we wouldn't have this balance. If it's a balance of 0 on the 1st, well, we'll keep it how it is. Just put 0. Okay. We can also enter the formula equals this plus this. Hit enter. Drag this down. Select the cell first. Drag this down. So now anything else that we enter in this will add to the total automatically. The last, actually there's 2 more accounts that we're going to add. We're going to add cash. Account number is 1110. We're also going to add purchases. Account number is 5110. Let's go ahead and format those cells. If you hit Format Painter twice, you can format multiple cells. Just like that. Then you hit it again to turn it off. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Double click it, format this cell, and format that cell, and then turn it off. We're going to write the year 2014. November 1st, we had a cash balance of, cash as an asset always carries a normal debit balance, $20,310.62. Let's go ahead and format all these cells real quick. Put the year in for purchases journal or purchases ledger. Purchases carries a normal debit balance, and this is the balance at the beginning of the month. $118,378 even. Again, we're going to format all of these cells. Alright, so now we're set up for the rest of the chapter to finish this off. Okay, so that takes care of the totals from the sales journal. And again, the final step is we're going to write the account names from the ledger accounts, 2140, 4110, and 1130 underneath the sales journal. We're going to skip that step, but just make sure once you double rule these totals, the fifth and final step is to put in that we recorded it in the ledger accounts, in the general ledger accounts. And again, that's by writing this in the sales journal. Next thing we're going to do, now we've set up all of our ledger accounts, this is going to go a lot faster. We have our purchases journal. So we have our sales journal first. Now we're moving on to the purchases journal, and you only have one column in the purchases journal because we always, when we purchase merchandise on account, it goes in the purchases debit account ledger, and it goes in the accounts payable credit ledger. So we're going to record this amount, $17,000. This is the total, $17,148.08, into the purchases journal and also into the accounts payable journal. So let's take a look at our purchases journal. Our final total is $13,295.70. So first off, let's go to our purchases ledger. Again, we just set this up. So on the 30th, we want to put the page number in, which again is going to be P11. We're going to have a debit of $13,295.70. Now we've already, you see that the pound signs pop up again, so we have to adjust the column just a little bit. Should have put our formula in already. Equals this plus this. So we have our running total of $131,673.70. We're going to take the same amount and we're going to put it in the accounts payable credit column as well. So you created this in 12-5. So in your accounts payable ledger, you're going to put the 30th. Page number was P11. Credit amount on the accounts payable is $13,295.70. So we're going to put that in the credit column, $13,295.70. Notice that the total should change. Again, we're going to have to adjust the columns on some of these, which is no problem, but you notice that the addition is already made for you. Should make it a lot easier on your mathematics if you put those formulas in. That's it. We've done the purchases total, debit, and we've put the accounts payable, what we owe, the total. So we currently owe $21,679.90 to somebody else. So we've got sales journal out of the way. We've got our purchases journal out of the way. The next one is the cash receipts journal. Okay, now we've already posted the general debit and credit columns into our ledgers already. So we're going to use these 4 columns. I know this might be a little bit difficult to read, and you'll see it here in a second. On the example, we have accounts receivable credit we have to record the total of, sales credit, which we have to record the total of, sales tax payable credit, total, and cash debit. This is the cash or the money we receive from customers that we sold on account to. So we need to record all of these totals. The journal needs to, when we put the end of the month date, we're going to put totals. We've already done this. We're going to double rule this, single rule. One last thing in the purchases journal, make sure that we come back and again prove that we posted it to the ledger by putting the account numbers underneath there in parentheses, which for the purchases journal was purchases debit and accounts payable credit. Accounts payable credit was 2110. Purchases was 5110. And you'll see that 5110 and 2110. These are the general ledger account numbers proving that we posted these totals to our ledger. Okay, so again, from the cash payments journal, we're going to post the totals. I'm sorry, cash receipts. Let me get to that slide here. There we go. Posting from the cash receipts journal the special columns in the cash receipts journal to the 4 following ledger accounts. Since this is difficult to read, I'm just going to briefly run through this. We're going to write the date. We're going to put the page number again. We're going to put the column total, the balance, and finally the 5th step is posting this number, the ledger account number, to the journal that we just got the total from. So let's take a look at this. We've already totaled our cash receipts journal. We have 0 balance in the general debit and general credit, but we need to post this $7,155 into the accounts receivable credit ledger. So let's go to accounts receivable. We've already created this account. So we have a second posting on the 30th. We got this from page number CR13. And we have a credit. This is what people have paid back to us. Again, of $7,155.00. You'll notice that the total didn't change. So what we need to do is add a different formula up here on this row right here. And we have H46, which is our total, plus F47, which is this column. But we're going to add something to that formula, and we're going to put minus this amount right here. Now I totally screwed that up, so let's start over. Let's just put equals this plus this minus this equals. Now we come back up, select this cell, drag it down, and there we go. We have our added, and then we have our payments. So now accounts receivable is an asset account, so people still owe us at the end of the month $3,518.14, and that will carry over to the balance of December into that ledger. So I've set up a formula to where it takes the total, it adds the debit column, and it subtracts anything that goes in credit. All right. And again, refer back to this formula right up here if you have a problem. The next column we're going to post is the sales credit, $20,610. So let's go over to sales, which is right here. Again, we're going to have another posting at the end of the month. Came from CR13, cash receipts journal, page 13. And in the credit side, I'm sorry, sales credit here we have 20,610. Now from the sales journal, I actually did this wrong. We should have taken sales credit and put 7830 into that ledger account. And you notice that I put it in the wrong column here. So let's delete this. Let's put 7830 here. Hit enter. So I'm going to have to change my formula. So let's put equals this plus this. Sales is always going to carry a normal credit balance, and again, let's run this total down. There we go. So we should have $287,055 in our sales for the month. Again, I recorded that in the wrong column, and that's something that you guys might do as well. So you should have recorded it in the wrong column, and then we should now have fixed it. Let's look at the next column here for our cash receipts journal. Here it is. So we've done accounts receivable credit, we've done sales credit. We need to record the sales tax payable credit, and that is $1,236.60. So let's go to sales tax payable right here, and on the 30th from cash receipts journal, page 13, we're going to put $1,236.60. This will add to our total. So we should have a total of $1,706.40 of the sales tax that people still owe us. Finally, we're going to record the cash debit. This is the money that we've received, $29,001.60. So we're going to go over to the cash journal here, cash ledger. We're going to put the 30th. This came again from cash receipts journal, page 13. We have a total of $29,001.60. Now we should have had our formula in here already, so let's do that. Let's put equals this plus this minus this. Because in our cash ledger, we're also going to have some cash payments that we've made as well. So we should have in our cash account on the 30th from this point on $49,312.22. Let's go ahead and drag this formula down. If our cash asset account is in the credit balance, that means we have negative money in our account. So that takes care of the cash receipts journal. Again, we've done the purchases journal, the sales journal, the cash receipts journal. Now let's move on to the final journal, which is the cash payments journal. We've already recorded these general debit and general credit columns into the ledgers in previous chapters or sections of this chapter. So what we need to do is we need to record the accounts payable debit. And again, cash payments means we've paid cash out. We wrote a check or gave somebody cash of what we owed. So we have an accounts payable debit, and we have a cash credit payment here. Again, we're going to put the totals. Again, something I missed on the 5th step was writing these account numbers from the ledger into the columns total underneath the totals of the cash receipts journal, proving that we posted the totals to each individual ledger account. So let's go ahead and do this one. It's again the same. We're going to put the date down here. We're going to put what page it came from, the debit or credit amount, and then we're going to add or subtract it to the total. Same thing with cash. Whether it's a debit or credit, it's an asset, so debit means add, credit means subtract. It's always going to carry a normal debit balance. We've already set up that formula in. Okay, so let's take a look at the cash payments journal. The two columns that we're going to post from, again, is accounts payable debit and cash credit. These two totals here, and again, remember the 5th step to put the account or general ledger account numbers underneath the totals to prove that we posted these totals to our ledger. So accounts payable debit, $9,738. So let's go to our accounts payable on the 30th. Should be cash payments page 16, so CP 16. We have a debit of $9,738.00. Now it didn't change our formula, it didn't change our total, so let's go back up to this cell right here, our first line. We're going to put equals this plus our credit, because since this is a liability account, it carries a normal credit balance, and we're going to subtract our debit. So click this cell right here, hit enter. Let's go back up and let's drag this down so that our totals are correct. So we should have $11,941.90 because we added to our total, and then subtracted. This means a payment. Again, it's coming from the cash payments journal. So we're deducting what we owe other companies or manufacturers that's producing our product. So we owe nearly $12,000 here at the end of the month. Second column is our payments. We made in our cash payments journal, we made $21,042.18 in payments. So we're going to go to our cash ledger. It's going to be at the bottom here. We're going to put 30th, CP16. Since it's a payment, it should be a credit. And again, the amount was $21,042.18. So, our balance of cash at the end of the month and what should go in our check register at the end of the month and for the beginning of next month is $28,270.04. Cash account and cash ledger, I should say, I'm going to refer to account and ledger as almost the same thing. This is our most important part. We want to know how much cash we made and how much we paid out. So over the course of the month, we brought in $29,000 in cash. Well, we paid out $21,000 in cash. So we're looking at raising our cash account. You notice that our beginning balance was $20,000. At the end of the month, it's $28,000. So we did bring in some money. Now at this point, you can decide what to do with that extra $8,000 that you had, again, that you've brought in over the course of the month, whether you want to withdraw that or reinvest it into the business, or buy a new truck, or buy more manufacturing facilities, or pay rent forward, or again, withdraw it as cash and spend it. It's you own the business. It's up to you what you do with that extra cash. So you should have, and you might want to pause this at some point. This comes from 12.5, but this is what your supplies office ledger should look like. This is what your supplies store ledger should look like. You should have an accounts payable on there. These amounts should all be correct with formulas. Accounts receivable, sales, sales tax payable, cash, and purchases. This is the assignment that I want you to have finished looking exactly like this after finishing the two 12.5 and 12.6 lecture.